So I've just ordered this portable touchscreen LCD monitor, and it's by a company called Viltrox. So this is the DC550 Pro, and it's in HD. It's not a 4K one, it's an HD one. So that's 1920 by 1080 pixels. So this comes in a sleeve. And it's got these tapes. It pulls out, it comes into this, it's got this nice little case inside, and it's nice and sturdy, and it's got Viltrox written on it. So this is the battery. So this is the hot shoe that attaches to your camera. And in here I've got the cables. You can see there the cables. Oh, there's another one in there. Oh, they haven't come with plastic ends. Well, the other two came with plastic ends, but this one hasn't for some reason. Oh, it's got that's the monitor, but it comes with this screen. I don't know if it's detachable. I think it must be detachable. Yeah, you can take that off. So that's if you're out in bright sunlight. That's handy. So what I like to do if I'm indoors is to take off the sunshade. So it's easy to take off, you just press and it just comes off. So I'm just going to show you around the monitor itself. So on the top you've got the SD card slot here. So in here is where you would put your SD card if you want to update the firmware. If you want to add some LUTs, lookup tables, which is like color profiling, you would put it on the SD card and put it in there. You've got these 3 buttons, F1, F2, F3. So what these are customizable buttons you can use for certain functions that you desire to have them for. You've also got a back button here. On the side of the monitor, you've got a 5-volt attachment to go into there. So you can charge it with 5 volts, or you can charge it with 12 volts to go into here. This is where you can mount it onto the camera with either the vertical or horizontal mount. You could use it vertically with that one. On the bottom, you've got your HDMI out and HDMI in. So it's the HDMI in that you need to use for your camera. This is the mount hole, and this is if you want to attach headphones. And on this side you've got the on off switch, and you've also got this button that you can press in and turn as well. So it comes with a battery. You get one battery that you can charge, and you can press on the back on this white button here to see how much charge is in it. So you can see it's only got half the charge, because if it was fully charged, all 4 dots would light up. But I'm not going to use the battery because I found that it only lasts about half an hour if you fill them in continuously. So you can buy other batteries. So I did buy an extra 2 batteries on this charger, which you can get from Amazon. If you're out and about and you want to have extra batteries, it's handy to have extra batteries. But I've also bought a 12 volt DC adapter here. So I'm going to plug this into the monitor. So it just saves having to keep changing the batteries when it runs out. So it goes in. So it just slots in that hole there. So I did buy a new mount. So this mount has a screw you can turn, so you can actually tilt this one. So you can tilt it this way and you can tilt it that way, and it also you can turn it around as well in the 360 degrees if you want to. So I got this off Amazon. I'll put the link below of what this is, and it goes on this is the cold shoe, goes on your camera. Now it has a pin there. I'm not going to use it that way though, so because there's a problem with that. So the problem is, once I put this on the camera, so let me just attach this to the mount. So what I've done is I've attached it so this part of the so this screw is on this side, because on the other side we need to put the HDMI cable in. So I'm not using the pin because the pin is on this side, but it still attaches without the pin being in there, and it's still sturdy, it's not moving. So I need to put the HDMI cable in there now, so just put that in. Slots in there, like that. And then the other end, this goes into the side of your camera. My camera is the Canon 5D Mark IV, so it has a slot at the side here where it goes in. but this is quite delicate and bends a bit, so you need to be careful with that so it doesn't snap. So that's in there now. It only works if you've got live view on your camera. We'll switch the camera on and we'll put it in live view. So when the monitor comes on, I've already got it set to English. So these three little lines at the top right hand corner, you get this menu. So when you open your monitor up, often, well, it was for me, your monitor will be in Chinese and you won't know what to do and you won't know what to click on. So this little icon at the bottom here is, this little icon is the English. So you click on that and then you've got it in English now. So you can see the menu better. So I'm just going to attach that to the camera. Just slide it onto the hot shoe and then just turn the screw to tighten it. Right, so that's securely attached to the camera now. So I'm just going to tilt the screen down a little bit so you can see it better. And it's saying the battery on my camera's running out, so I need to do that first. So you can see there I've got a clock and a ball of wool. Let me just move the camera a bit. Maybe along a bit there. So I've got a clock and a ball of wool to take a photograph of. So I'm just going to go through the menu options with you and just show you more on this monitor. I have watched other YouTube videos to find out how to use this monitor, and most of the YouTubers only spend 10 minutes just briefly showing you the monitor, and then I've got to go and find another YouTube to see if they've got any more detail in theirs, and then that doesn't, so I've got another one, and I've just been flitting around going from YouTuber to YouTuber looking for information on this monitor, because the manual that you get is very brief and it doesn't go into a lot of detail, so we rely on the YouTubers to educate us. So this video is going to be a bit longer than the other YouTube videos because I'm going to go into more detail about this monitor. So if you prefer to just watch a brief overview and you don't need a tutorial, then just feel free to go to one of the other YouTube's videos. So let me just go through the menu with you now then. So when you first switch it on, this menu comes up. So these are the settings on your camera. So you can see I've got it set to 0.3 of a second. I've got the aperture at 4.5 and I've got the ISO at 100. So if I change the settings on my, if I turn this down, for example, it'd make the exposure less. What I'm doing is I'm increasing the shutter speed there. You can see the shutter speed going up here. So I'm changing the shutter speed, and that makes the image darker. And then if you want to make the image brighter, you can reduce the shutter speed like that. And you can also change the aperture. So if I change the aperture on the camera, it changes the aperture on the monitor. So you can see what your settings are at a glance with this monitor. It's very handy like that. So so if you want to get to the main menu, there's three ways you can do it. You can either press this button at the side here. So you can see this button at the side. If I press that, it takes you to the main menu. Another way to get to the main menu is if you double tap the center of the screen. So if I tap it once, it'll take me back to the home page. If I double tap it, it'll take me back to the menu. And there's also this function button up here, button 3. So if I press this, this will take me to the main menu as well. So I've got three ways to get into the main menu. I prefer just double tapping in the middle because that seems quicker. So the first menu we've got in the top left hand corner, this is the waveform. So on this page, you've got the volume bar. So if you click on that, you've got a volume bar coming at the side here. It's not necessary to have that if you're just doing photographs, but if I click on video, you can see it's now going up and down because I've got it on video. And it also shows you your settings there that's been chosen by the camera. So you can change the volume by sliding your finger up and down on the left here, which is quite handy. And you can also change the backlight as well on the monitor by sliding your finger up and down on the side of the monitor on this side. So it has those features as well. So I'm just going to put it back to photographs. So to get it on photographs, you have to click the live view to get it come on the photographs. So we've now got it on photographs. I'm just going to increase that exposure a bit by decreasing the shutter speed a bit. So we can see we've got a clock and we've got some wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the clock just a little bit closer, like that. So we've got the clock in front and the wall behind. So that's the volume bar. Then we've got the histogram. You've got a choice between the Lumia histogram and the RGB histogram. So this shows you the colours and the brightness of the image. So for example, if I change the brightness by making the image darker, you'll see the histogram move to the left. And if I make it brighter, you'll see the histogram move to the right. So if you overexpose it, it goes right to the right. So what you want really is somewhere in the middle. So if you're used to using histograms, that's ideal for you. And you can keep that on if you want to, or you can turn it off. So I'm going to turn it off. And then you've got the vector. I don't use a vector, but if you do, it's there. And you've got parade, and you've got RGB, Y, and you've got YUV. But if you want to turn it off, you just have to click the orange letters again so it turns off. And then you've got full waveform. I'm just going to turn that off. And you've got the lookup table. So what this is colour profiles you can add to your image. So you can use the user lookup table, or you can use some set ones that they've got in here. So I'll just show you these three that they've got 4 actually. So I'm just going to leave it on user, or you can turn it off. So it's just left on user. So that's that menu page, and then you've got the next menu page. So on this menu page you've got, so this is the monitoring tool page. So you've got peaking here, so you can click this on. So if you've got it on green peaking and you've got it on manual focus, by turning the focus wheel on your camera, you can light up the subject you want to have the most focus on. So if I take a picture of the clock and the wool there, like that, and then if I turn off that focus, and then if I put it on, if I go to my image in the camera, if I drag this, I haven't tightened this up, so I'll slide this along. I can focus in on the clock a bit more. So you can see the clock is in focus, but the wool isn't in focus. So if you want the wool in focus, what you need to do is go back to peaking, turn that back on, and then you can adjust your focus wheel until the wool. So I've got the green on the wool now, so the wool's in focus and the clock's gone blurry. So if I take that as a picture, and then if we turn the peaking off, you can see that the image that's shown is the wool's in focus and the clock's not. So with the focus peaking as well, you can use 3 different colours. You can use blue, red, or you can use green, which is handy. So I'm just going to turn the focus peaking off. So the next one we've got false colour. If you're used to using false colour, you can help expose your image correctly using false colour. So with false colour, the pinks and the blues are the underexposed, and the reds and the yellows are the overexposed. You can see the bar across the top. So these are the underexposed colours. These are the overexposed colours. So I'll prove that to you just by just showing the images there. We'll go back to the picture. So we can make the image overexposed by changing the shutter speed, and you can see we've now got reds and yellows. So if we turn that off, you can see that's overexposed. And I can turn it the other way, so we have blues and pinks like that. And if I turn that off, you can see it's underexposed. So there's two types, there's type 1 and type 2. So that's overexposed. Reds and yellows. So it's different. Let me just see what that looks like. So false colour is not something I usually use. I prefer the histograms, but it's up to you if you prefer using the histogram or prefer using the false colour. I think this, turn the backlight up a bit more. So I've gone off the focus now with the, there we'll get the clock back in focus. So back to the main menu. So we've got the zebras as well, so this helps you as well. So you can have it, you can change the sensitivity of the zebras by turning this, making this bigger or longer, this line here. So if we leave it on say 80%, and then you can see if we make this image brighter, you can see I've overexposed it there, so we get the zebras. And then you can turn your shutter speed down or your aperture up to change that, so we don't get any zebras. So that's using the zebras. I'm just going to turn that off for now. And then we've got monochrome, where we can choose grey, red or green if you have a need for that. So this is pixel to pixel. So with this, sometimes it tries to give you exact pixel like mapping, like one-to-one mapping with the number of pixels, but sometimes it has to put like a border around it to make the image the same size. I'm just going to turn that off. And then we've got underscan and overscan. So if you use overscan, sometimes it cuts off the edge of the image, and you might want to do that for some reason, or you might want to use underscan. And then we've got, you flip it horizontally or flip it vertically. So if you've got it switched on, you can flip it horizontally so the clock goes on the opposite side, or you can flip it vertically where the clock goes underneath, or you can have it both horizontally and vertically. So that's quite handy if you want to use it. Just going to turn that off. And this is similar, but it flips the image on your monitor. If you're turning your camera upside down, it'll flip them so you can see it better on your monitor. And then here we've got fixed image, if you want to fix the image. And then we've got camera mode. So if you want it in camera mode, what it does is, if we just tap it once, it puts all the settings right at the bottom so you can't see them very well. It sort of stretches the image. So I'm not going to have it in camera mode. Let me just get back to that. So I've turned that off. So that's the second menu. The third menu is called the mark and composition menu. So with this one, you can have it set at 96%, or you can reduce it like that. You can put the grid on, you can have it on tri-section, you can have it on central, put the central mark on there. You can change the size like 4:3, 2.35, 1.85, and you can have it so you can change it so it's you can even have 16.9 there as well, but there's lots of other settings you can choose from as well. I'm just going to leave that on automatic. Then you've got zoom. So with zoom you've got one times, let's go back to zoom, you've got 1 times, you've got 1.4 times, you've got 2 times, you've got 4 times, and you've got 8 times, and you've got 10 times. I'll just go back to 1 time. And the last one, this is the de-squeeze. If you know much about doing videos and you're used to using de-squeeze, that's de-squeeze function at the end there. It doesn't make much sense to me, but so you can have it different ratios for the de-squeeze there. So that's the third menu, and the last menu, this is your colour menu. So you can change the brightness by turning this up and down. You can change the contrast as well. You can change the saturation and the hue, the sharpness. You can change the backlight. Well, like I told you before, you can also change the backlight with just by tapping on the right side of the screen. Color temperature, you can have it on user, you can have it on 5,600 Kelvin, 6,500, 7,200, 9,300. You can use the different Kelvin settings there. So that's the last setting, but you've also got this setting at the top, these system settings here. So you can change the language, either English or Chinese. You can choose the fan speed, so you can have it on low, middle. On middle you can hear it slightly, and on high you can't hear it. So I'm just going to leave it on low. The volume, you've got the volume slider, but like I told you before, you can slide the volume by going up and down at the side there. And you've got menu, transparency, and OSD timeout. To be fair, I'm not really sure what that is. You've got a reset button, and this is how you can customize your F key. So example, if you wanted to customize your F1, you can choose one of the things in there to customize. So I've got it on zoom, but you could use false color, you could use flip, you can choose what you want this first button to be. And I'm going to leave it on zoom. The second one, I've got it ticked for peaking. So if I press F2, it'll show the peaking. And the third one, I've got it set to main menu. So if I press that, it takes me main menu. So if I press this button, it'll take me back to the main menu. So those are all the settings on the monitor. So it is handy to have. So I'll have to now, because I've got to put the peaking on, to get that peaking off again, I would have to click on the second button again, and then that would take it off. So it's handy to be able to switch it on and switch it off like that. So that is the Viltrox 550 Pro. There's only the Pro that does touch screen. It is handy to have. I like the fact it's got the sunshade, so if you're outdoors you can put the sunshade on there. I like the fact you can use the 12-volt cable, so you don't have to worry about batteries. So if you're doing a long shoot indoors, you can have that plugged in. And I like the fact that you've, the thing is with this, you're not going to be using it handheld because it's going to be too heavy and cumbersome to use handheld, but you could use it on a tripod. So if you're outdoors doing your photography, or if you're indoors doing, say, food photography, for example, you can have it on a tripod and you can change all your settings, get your exposure right at a glance, and that's what's good about it. And you're not relying on something like some kind of laptop, or like you're not relying on a laptop to show you your exposure settings and things like that. You know how people can tether it to a laptop, and that might be not convenient for you. You might prefer just to use a monitor like this. I think it's much more handy to use. So thank you for watching this video. Until the next one, bye for now.